I'm indestructible. And they told me in zero abstract terms, like, you are working yourself to death. You are causing permanent damage to your organs, to your skin, to your body. And I'm a healthy guy. I go to the gym, I eat well, I don't drink to excess anymore. Like, I'm not an unhealthy person. They just said, no one can do what you're doing. It's not a weakness, it's a reality.
Thank you for listening to Serves You Right. My name is Andrew Roy, and today we're talking to Winston Greene, owner of Tonic in Santa Fe, New Mexico, and my old buddy and old barback from my bartending days at Milagro. It is a real pleasure to see Winston step into an ownership role. I still remember him hauling ice, restocking beer, and doing all the grunt work back in the day, but he never complained. He always showed up and he always put in the work. So I knew he was going to go places, and sure enough, he did. We had a chance to talk about all the things that are both good and bad about ownership. Winston got a chance to share his wake-up call on what it means to have a balanced life and how you can't let cortisol and stress run the show or it will break you. We get to talk about COVID, old bartending buddies, and everything in between. Super awesome conversation. I adored having Winston on. It was a pleasure to get to catch up with him. I hope you enjoy it too. This is Serves You Right. Enjoy.
Yeah, one of a number of high-profile closures in the last couple months.
Well, that's the only one that people messaged me about. So what else closed?
Bosque Brewery filed Chapter 11. And there's just been a bunch of galleries, long-term galleries that have been here for 30 years, clothing stores.
Everyone held on through the pandemic just to show that they could, and then 5 years later, it's like, all right, I'm done.
It's hard, man, because COVID felt like the stressful time, right? I could say as a business owner during COVID, everything was, how do I get to next week, next month, hopefully next year, especially as a bar, we were not allowed to move in at all for 15 months. We couldn't sell coffee or sandwiches, anything. And we still had people trying to collect bills. We were still staying current with our bank loan. We were trying to stay current with our rent. And so it was really challenging. I think we all got to the end of COVID with this idea of okay, the hard part is over. It's no, suddenly the economy was bad. People weren't traveling as much. The inflation went out of control, and it's never stopped. It's been 5 years of just and today, the new challenge.
Yes. Yeah. So, God, what a time, what a place. And it's right at the edge of so many things. So I feel like Santa Fe gets hit early or all of a sudden get whiplashed late with different trends that are going through the US. Does that make sense?
Totally.
It's yeah. Huh. So good to talk to you, Winston. Yeah. Been a while. I thought it'd be fun. We're going to go back to Santa Fe. We're going to talk about it because it's such a big just influence on my life, on your life, and just such a weird place. But I thought we couldn't get into this without talking about Milagro a little bit. So
Milagro. Yeah.
Yes, the origin story. How did you end up working at Milagro? Because I don't think I ever asked you that. I don't think I know that.
Sure. So before Santa Fe, I was living in Portland. I had Portland, Oregon, not Portland, Maine. And I had a really different lifestyle. I was a member of a repertory company, the ART Repertory Theater Company. And that was a big priority for me. And I was a rock climber and a whitewater rafter. And so I had these things I did up there, and I could kind of balance those three things from season to season. But if I didn't get enough work, I had a bunch of friends who worked at bars who were older than me because I was young. I was 18 or 19, and they were like, "You can't, serve drinks, but you can do all the grunt work." And so I started doing some bar backing, and it was great, man, because this sort of dates it, but this is 2009 maybe. And so I could
Okay.
book a shift and get $200, $300 in cash. And that was a fortune back then. I was 19 years old. My apartment cost me $600, I think. A hamburger was $5. A beer was 3. So $200 in cash was huge.
I know. To like move ice and wash glass there. Yeah,
Yeah,
like
and take out the
yeah.
trash and be yelled at. And I was like, this is great. I loved it. And so I was
Mm.
doing a lot of that. So I moved to Santa Fe to be closer to my family because they lived here. And I quickly found out that all the things that I was doing, working in theater, working at rock climbing gyms, trying to get seasonal work, whitewater rafting, like you could not get these jobs. And if you did, they weren't jobs. They were like people, hobbyists hanging out.
Internships at best. Yeah.
Yeah, but even whitewater rafting, which is a really hard job, there were so many people who were just willing to do it for free here because it was a fun way to spend the summer. There was no work. And I was sort of telling all of this stuff to a guy at a party who I knew, and he goes, "Well, I own a bar, so why don't you come work for me?" I'm like, "I don't know anything about bartending. I don't know anything about, you know, the fine dining. Like, all I know is I was a bar back for a little bit." He's like, "Great, we need a bar back." And so that was John Beaupre. And
Mm.
he brought me in the next week, and I interviewed with Forrest, who hated me. I
Oh
do
yeah.
not know why. That guy from day one was just like this kid. So he called me in at 9 in the morning for my first shift. And I show up, and Forrest is there, and he's on God knows what, because you remember he was always on God knows something. And there's like mountains of boxes. He had ordered in like a month's worth of liquor and wine and dry goods just to screw with me. And so he had me running stuff. He told me the elevator was broken, and I'm running stuff up that stairway for hours.
Hmm.
And I'm setting up the bar, and then I worked. And you remember those shifts were late. Like we would get out of that
Oh,
place
like 6 a.m. sometimes.
totally. So I
Yeah.
worked like this 20-hour shift, and I don't know, like I've never had a problem with working that way. I'm just, that stuff doesn't phase me. So I kind of looked at him and I was like, cool, do you want me in at 9 tomorrow? And he pulls this bottle of Jameson off the shelf and he fills up a glass and he goes, "You're not quitting." And I said, "No, no, this was fine." And he goes, "All right, I've been fucking with you all day. I've been making your life miserable all day. You really want to do this?" I was like, "Yeah." So that was it. That's how I started there. And it was,
Mm.
I mean, honestly, man, I mostly have fond memories of that place for how insane and ridiculous it was.
Yeah, and it's hard to really convey how insane it was, but I loved that job. And I don't think I even fully realized how much I loved that job until the last couple of years, thinking back on it,
We were
you
pretty
know.
spoiled, man, because we were like you. We were. I would guess I had to be 21 if I was
I was
working
like
there.
22-ish, something like that. I was born in
So,
1990, so yeah,
oh, okay. So yeah, no, I was 89, so I was the same age as you. So
exactly. Yeah.
21, 22, and now that I've worked at, geez, I mean, I've worked at almost 20 bars, and like I don't think we had any idea how special a place like that is, where
Mm.
it's just you can tell one story from an idle Thursday or Friday night, and it sounds like the plot to a movie. Like it was
Sure.
always some crazy thing happening.
Yeah. No, and I tell people about that job now. It's like I worked 3 days. It was 40 hours. And it's like, really? It's like, yes. I was in at 9 a.m. and I got off at like 6 a.m. I don't know how I did it, but I did it. And then I was off 4 days of the week. I had a full-time job and I had 4 days off. It was awesome. It was like exactly what you should do as a kid.
Yeah.
And so I was trying to rack my brain, and admittedly, some of the memories from that time are a little alcohol induced. It's just kind of the age range and the environment. I did remember trying to put together a drink with you with Galliano and Van Gogh peanut butter and jelly vodka.
Oh my God,
I don't
that's
know if you
right.
remember that event,
I
but
do
like,
remember this because Van Gogh was launching, and so they had dropped a bunch of stuff at a couple bars, and we were obsessed with the texture of the peanut butter jelly vodka because it
mhm,
had that kind of fatty peanut butter flavor to it, and we
yeah.
just kept iterating and iterating and iterating, trying to figure it out.
I hadn't thought about that in so long, but I remembered we didn't get anywhere
No,
except just like blasted. Like
yeah, oh
we
my
like
God,
well, we just kept trying this cocktail and it wasn't working. Tried it again, and then like the next day is like I'm hungover from peanut butter and jelly vodka. This is a very unique experience.
this is bartending.
Yeah. Oh man. Okay, Forrest.
Yeah.
What, in your opinion, what was up with that guy? I gotta know. I tried to get him on the show, and I couldn't. Like, so he's in like Cambodia, and he couldn't get the tech to work, because he's like in a hostel and he couldn't figure out how to record on his phone, which fair enough. But two
Like, all
cents.
right,
What do you think?
what do I think? I mean, it's funny because I think if he walked in my bar, I think I'd hug him.
Same.
But like there is, I mean, there's just so much solace around that. There's so much grief because was such I don't want to be mean. He was such a broken person. Like he had such a
Mm,
big hole in him, and he was always trying to fill it with this huge personality and with, girlfriends on girlfriends and mistresses and these big personality friends he'd bring into the bar and these big events that he would throw. And it was kind of the amazing thing of being around a guy like that is that he was his own whirlwind. He was his own energy, but you
mm.
were also kind of terrified because if you weren't careful, you got sucked into it. You woke up 3 days later and you were like, what,
What did I
what,
do? Yeah.
yeah, what day is it? And so I don't know, like I sort of love him. I think that the sad thing about our industry is that our industry used to be made of people like him. Because like
Mm,
Cambodia, right? Like he doesn't fit in society that well. And the bartending and the industry used to be the place people like that ended up because we're sort of all a little odd. We're all sort of a little nonconformist. We all sort of have that whirlwind. He had it bigger than anyone I've ever met, and I've been
sure.
around now.
We're
So I
we're
don't.
all like in one degree, we're all kind of suffering in some way. And some of it's just like a little awkward. And for some people it's like whirlwind of chaos. Yeah.
And
Oh
that's the
man.
thing, right? It's like where else could you take a guy like that and he makes the place what it is? Because it
Mm,
wasn't that before him and it was never that after him. Like he was the soul of that time in the best and the worst way.
yeah. Although if memory serves, after he quit, the liquor cost was at like 40%, and then the next time we did inventory, it was at like 20. So I
Hey,
think there
nothing's
were like
perfect. No one said he
there
should
were
have been
other
running the
things.
damn
Yes.
thing.
No, no. Maybe he should have been like the star head bartender, not leading the charge.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's something I've really learned in my role as an owner is it's like you can't you have to be if you're the kind of owner I am. I mean, I'm there every day and I
Yeah.
still do a couple shifts a week because I try to lead by example. And so you can definitely be the owner who is not that guy, who kind of collects the money, does the marketing, and there's nothing wrong with that. That I've met those guys and when they're good, they're incredible. Like I
Mm,
can't do that as well as they do. But like I have to be always optimistic, always trying to keep the energy up, always trying to keep my place kind of a party for my staff. Not like drinking, but we all tell jokes. We all have, there's levity. There's a lot
oh
of
yeah.
levity in my business. But you
Yeah.
also have to be the guy who, at the end of the day, balances everything and keeps the inventories in line and makes sure that your costs are right and make sure you're not creating extra labor. And so it is a real dichotomy. Like it's not an easy thing to balance. I don't blame Forrest that like he was too much of one thing and not enough of the other.
Sure, sure. And I mean, what you're speaking to, it's you're a boss. You're not necessarily a friend. You could be a boss who's a friend,
Mhm.
but you are boss first. And if the if tonic goes down, no one eats kind of thing. So
Yeah, that's
yeah.
true. Those are the hard decisions, and it's really hard to have to explain that to people sometimes of like, I know that you really want to do this project. I know you want to chase that trend. I know that you really think that this is a lousy shift, but also like this is the shift that keeps the lights on. And like this is too
Mm,
much of an investment to risk on. And you learn that like for you, you're standing up on top, you see the whole pie, and they don't. That's not their fault. I think a big challenge of being a good manager and a good owner. It's just that, like, no matter what, if you're in a managerial position, you see more than other people, and
mm,
communicating what you see in a non-fearful way. You're trying to
sure.
explain the realities without making it seem dire or making it seem overwhelming. And that's something a lot of managers I've worked with who I've enjoyed working with never got good at. They always showed the burden of what they were doing, which is like when you become a good manager, it's like that's not a burden, you just accept it's endless. There's always a next crisis. There's always another document to file, and that's the reality, not the burden.
Well, it's a position of knowledge, but you also I feel like you have to have the humility to realize that a position of more knowledge does not mean total knowledge. And like
Mhm.
I'm always reminded so in my journey I've jumped into management from bartending. I joined the other side, but
We
I
all do.
wrote no, eventually. I just can't carry well, I can carry kegs anymore, but I don't want to. Uh I wrote the front of house schedule for a couple of years. And it was a restaurant that had about 25 servers, about 10 bartenders. So it was a lengthy list of host server assistant servers. So every week I would look at it and I'd look top down and I'd make sure we've got 15 here, 17 here, like, and I would go through it and, and then inevitably I would hit publish and someone would come up to me and say something along the lines of like, why is it that you gave me 3 days in a row? Or like, like, why did you do this to me? And it's like that knowledge that you have top down that is perhaps more exhaustive is lacking perspective of what other people will see of your actions or of the situation. And, their perspective may not be right on a more holistic sense, but it is a perspective. And it's something that, like, if you had enough time, sure, you can consider everything, but sometimes it's just, there's too many different perspectives to consider. You kind of have to get the schedule out, open the bar, do the thing.
Well, right, and that's that. So before Tonic, I was a bev director, and I had 46 people in my department, and it's the
Mm,
same thing. It's like when you have this scope and scale, and it's like you do the best you can. And I would always try to like give everyone one thing when I did that. Like if someone came up to me and like, hey, you scheduled me Thursday, Friday, Saturday in a row. I'd really like it if I could not do that. I'm like, I know that, but you also told me it's really important to you that you don't work Tuesdays. And like, so
mhm.
here's
And you
the only
want 4 shifts, so yeah.
right. Like, so
Yeah.
you do the best you can and you try to
Mm,
take in their considerations. The truth is, very rarely there's perfect schedules. And the people who
mhm,
have perfect schedules are those people who make your businesses what they are. They're those people who you're like, wow, if that guy left, it would take me a lot of time and training to replace him. He does so
mhm.
much here. That guy usually gets the best schedule.
Yeah. No, I had one server. I won't say his name, but he was server trained, cross trained, where he could work back of house kitchen expo shifts. He's also a bartender or shift leader. And people are like, why does he never have to work Sunday, Monday? It's like, I need him Tuesday to Saturday. Like I want him on those days. I don't want him on the slower days. I'm sorry. Yeah. Um, yeah,
Yeah,
you
for
got to
my
put your
business,
stars. Yeah.
like if you work a solo day like weekday shift, it's the sales are worse, but the tips are amazing because you're hand selling to everyone. It feels so good. And if you're working a solid shift, you can make a few $100 and that feels great. And the weekend shifts, because the pool is so wide and the work is so much harder, and you're hand selling to 50 tables instead of hand selling to like 6 tables, you're exhausted. So my rule for everyone is like, listen, everyone's got to do at least one of these terrible weekend shifts that we all hate. And I'll probably do two because the money is terrible. And like, it's just,
Mhm.
those are the shifts that make the place work. I
It's like
need,
the advertising expense almost. Like,
yeah.
yeah,
I
letting
mean,
a lot of people know about it.
and so it is one of those things where it's like no one is ever going to understand the business like you do. And I'll tell you, man, the higher you get on it, like I thought when I was the head bartender for the first time, I was like, wow, I really understand things better. When I was a manager the first time, I was like, I really understand things better. When I was a bev director, I was like, I see the whole pie. I see into the kitchen. I see into the floor. I didn't know anything. Ownership has taught me that there are so many things we don't see as front of house people that we
Mhm.
think we do, or back of house people, or I mean, if you're a general manager, you still don't see the whole pie because there's so much stuff that the state compels you to do, that the federal government is compelling you to do. There's so many issues that you might like, you don't know what the loan structure or the investment structure of the business is. And there are real considerations in day-to-day operations that affect those considerations. And so it's like I've just learned the higher I get on that totem pole, the more I see, and sort of like the more I have to explain with the fewer words. Because the more I try to get in depth, everyone starts freaking out. I'm like, no, 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 it's not scary. It's just a lot.
Yeah. Can you tell me the story about how you came to open Tonic?
Sure. So I sort of cut my teeth back east. I lived in Boston for a few years and I was working at some pretty amazing programs with some guys who I still think are more talented than me. Like
Mhm.
I still think they're probably functionally better restaurateurs and bartenders than I am. But I'm
Boston's
always
a cool city. A lot of fun people have talked from Boston, so.
It's incredible. It sort of hits so much higher than its weight class once you get in and start talking to these guys. And I think it somehow gets lumped. It's like, well, New York is right there. And like, no, it's a totally different scene. It's a totally different beverage program and philosophy. And that actually taught me a lot of like, because I've now hired people from across the country and like people who bartend primarily on the West Coast have a totally different philosophy and approach to drinks and to bar design and to menu design than people from the Southwest or people from the East Coast. So that was cool too. Anyway, so I moved into New Mexico and I got this bev directorship and I was working a ton and I loved my staff and I hated my program. Like it really was one of those. It was like I was always trying to find a way to make money for my restaurant so that they could give me these budget allocations and I could go through them and I'd be like, I can't even reset my inventories with this. And I don't want to cut hours, but like all the money that we were making was going to pay for the catering programs payroll and to bring in Iberico ham for these specialty dinners. It was really frustrating. You know, it was a restaurant that was doing around $3 million and two just shy of 2 million of that was the beverage program. So it really felt frustrating. And I just sort of hit this point where I went, okay, money where my mouth is. I'm always saying that if I did it, I would do it differently. So I'm going to do it. I had saved up a ton of money over the years. I had invested it kind of semi-intelligently into the stock market. And I hit this point where I was like, okay, I think if I take everything I have and I can borrow a little bit of money from a bank and I can find the right space. And so I just went one step at a time. Like that was sort of my start. Is I went, okay, let me get something on paper. Let me get a pro forma down. Let me get sort of a forecast of what I think it'll cost to do this. Let me get some equipment schedules together, just abstractly. And then while I was doing that, I was looking for the right space. And there was an old diner in downtown Santa Fe called the Atomic Grill. That
I
was
miss it so much.
everyone like I've spent every day of my life in that building, and I miss the Atomic Grill.
Yeah.
And you know, as you recall, it was this all night kind
Mhm.
of grungy, the dive bar of diners. You know, just
I didn't
strong.
say I didn't say I remembered it. I said I missed it. Yeah.
Yeah, because it was a bunch of drunk people getting out of the bars and like eating chili cheese fries, and it was
Every
great.
time. Yeah.
So it had been closed for a couple of years, and the building was basically abandoned. The landlord hadn't put anything into it. And I told him, I said, look, you can put a lot of people in here, but the truth is, this building is a wreck. Every door needs to be replaced. Every wall needs to be rebuilt 6 feet up. And this, my space has 20-foot walls. So this is like a massive main room. None of the appliances worked in the kitchen. All the gas lines had been shut off by the gas company and needed to be re-inspected. And what I told him is, I was like, I have this thing in my head. I have this vision in here of this jewel box, of this 1920s style bar. So I have to do all this work anyway. So why don't you let me do it on your building? Because I don't need a white wall space. I need something where I can kind of shift it and change it. And that worked out pretty well. And so that was the next step. And then I need to put together the money, and then I need to get the GC. And it was like what really I did not understand at that time, I think because I was young, I was only 27 when I was doing all of this, was that these problems that show up as you're doing a project like this feel like, why isn't this going smooth? Why can't anything just go
Mhm.
smooth? That's not what these projects are. These projects are figuring out problems one after another. And ultimately, that's what owning the business kind of became as I started understanding it, is I was like, oh, these aren't problems, they're challenges. And that is my job, is to navigate these as they appear with the least amount of disruption to my guests and to my revenue.
Hmm. They're not bugs, they're features. Because if it
Yeah,
was easy, everyone would do it, essentially.
yeah, exactly.
Sorry for the interruption. Winston got a call and we had to take a quick interlude here. But I thought I would take this moment to ask all of you listening, if you have not, please subscribe to the show. It means the world to me, and it really does help this show grow. All right? Without any further ado, here's Winston again.
I just flew down to Tulsa and moved my wife's parents up here. And of course, in the journey of doing that, we hit town about an hour outside. It was a snow ice storm. So the last 60 miles took us about 2 hours to get through. Unloaded their stuff in the snowstorm. And a couple days later, they're like, we kind of want to go back to Tulsa because it's just so snowy. And it's like, it was, it's since warmed up, but it's like the worst day they could have arrived. Early snow, intense snow, lots of ice. It's like, welcome to your new home. I hope you enjoy it.
What are the winters like there? Are they moderate? Are they intense?
They're pretty intense.
Okay.
So, I mean, if you look at a map, it is literally right in the center. So it is like the most continental of the continental climates. So summers are great, pleasant. spring and fall are pretty mild. Winters are cold. It's like -10, -15-ish can get
That's super
pretty
cold.
biting. Yeah. Yeah. I didn't know that happened till first
Yeah.
year.
I would just stayed suit. You must like it.
Yeah. So just getting back to it, Tonic, you were telling me about where the name came from.
Yeah. So when I picked the name, I knew I wanted it to be something that kind of encapsulated all the beliefs of my, like the philosophies that I was trying to come up with for my company. And then also, you need a name that sort of people can say casually, breezily, that's easy to remember. So the three original philosophies, I wanted to make cocktails that were just really exceptional. I didn't want to use artificial sugars, artificial coloring. I wanted to choose products over brands. Because I have a personal belief that a lot of hangovers and a lot of like sickness that comes out of alcohol has to do with the fact that our bodies metabolize alcohol too quickly because of how we're choosing to ingest it. Like sugar and soda water are both accelerators of your metabolism. And
Hmm.
so, if 90% of alcohol is taken in through your small intestines, then the rate at which your body's processing it is just as important as how much you're drinking. And then you're also drinking a lot of artificial crap that your body has to work really hard to filter through. And so I wanted this philosophy of a drink that was curative and that made you feel better. So tonic was easy for that. Live music was a big part of our original business model. We kind of stopped doing it after COVID, and we're hoping to bring it back this year in 2026. But when you're writing music, you always kind of want to play back to your keynotes, which are called your tonics, like pentatonic.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah. Okay.
And then our food program was based in French technique, but it was French technique to like comfort foods and pub fare. And so in French, there is a word tonique with a Q, and it basically means to prepare something with a lot of care and intention. And so it was
Okay.
just sort of this word that like I had spent months trying to figure it out, and then I caught that one, and I was like, man, I was hanging out with some friends, we were talking, and that one came up, and I was like, that really fits, that really nails
Mhm.
it, all three. Chris Milligan, when he found out my name, he walks up to me and puts his hand on my shoulder, and he says, every bar in New Mexico has some kind of a shitty name when you have a bad experience there. Your name is perfect because it's toxic. So it's great.
It's just tonic. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, oh, perfect. I'm glad. I'm glad.
Yeah. No, and it's short, it's memorable, it's easy, people could spell it. Like there's a lot that is going for it. So, yeah. It's a good name. I like it.
It's worked out. What it lacks in originality, it keeps in momentability. Like people really do remember it. And it's what I like is I'll have people come in from New York or from Seattle all the time. Be like, oh, my friend said they came here and they said it was tonic, so it was easy to remember.
Yeah. No, that helps a lot. Do you feel like you get a lot of foot traffic? Because it's prime real estate where you're at. I mean, at that intersection, right by the Hotel St. Francis, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Like,
We're next to
yeah.
Pasquale's. Like, so we do and we don't. Like on the weekends, we definitely get people who wander up. The thing is, the front door is intentionally designed that it is very up and out of eyesight. You have to kind of come up this long alleyway to find the door. And people immediately went, oh, it's like a speakeasy. I was like, that's not what the intention was. The idea was we're not selling Coors, we're not selling Crown, we're not doing Jacks and Cokes. Like we'll do any cocktail. And honestly, if you want a whiskey soda, I don't care. But the idea is if the idea of walking up a strange alley to find something is too intimidating, you're probably going to hate our menu. You're probably going to hate that we can't give you exactly what you want. If you want a
Hmm.
lager, great. We've got local lagers. They're delicious. They're the same cost as a Budweiser. But if it's Budweiser or bust, that's never going to be our clientele. So we wanted to create a system where, like, yeah, obviously, location matters. Location is always going to matter when you build out your own business. But I didn't want to be downtown and be turning away or getting bad reviews from a bunch of people because we're not
No,
carrying.
bud. No.
It's a thing, man, and
Yeah, yeah.
here's the thing. I'm not disparaging. I'm not. If you want to drink Budweiser, that's great. I have nothing against it. I just don't want to give them my money because they don't need it. Like I'd rather
Sure.
support the local brewery. And in a world where we're quickly seeing that democracy and how you spend a dollar have a one-to-one exchange rate. I want to spend my dollars on small businesses because I'm a small business. That's just how I think about it.
Yeah. And I've never understood the idea of like, so many places that do have only local beers or something like that will say, "Oh, we have this Pilsner taste almost exactly like Budweiser." You like everyone has that spiel already, and the people that just leave rather than just like, "Oh, I'll give it a try," it's always blown my mind.
I
'Cause-
think there's some people who don't, and this part of the problem is us, right? Like you and I live in a world where we're constantly trying to like learn and challenge, and we've had massive exposure to all these different wines and beers and spirits, and like so to us this is fun. That's why we do it, hopefully. I think
Mhm.
there are a lot of people in this country, probably in this world, who like they don't want to think about it. This is not what
Hmm.
they want to spend their mental energy doing, is just turning between a Budweiser and a La Cumbre. But that's okay. Like there are plenty of bars for people like them. I just don't think every bar has to be that bar. I don't think every restaurant has to be that restaurant. But I understand if you walk in, you're like, look, I just wanted a cheeseburger. I didn't want to have a discussion about where your beef was from. I didn't want to know that it was homemade bread. I just don't care. It's like, great. I understand that. I can't fix that.
Sure. Yeah. Huh. Is there anything that if you could go back in time and talk to yourself before you open the spot, that you would warn yourself of?
Yeah. Yeah. The first, that sounds like there's a couple design things that would definitely change. Where I put the light switches. I know that sounds insane, but like the first thing I think I would tell myself is everything you think a person wouldn't fuck with, they're gonna fuck with. So put it behind the bar or in the
It's
kitchen.
yeah, it's a bar. Yeah.
Yeah,
If
I
it can
didn't
be
know. I didn't
broken,
know.
removed from the walls, yes, it's gonna happen.
It's wild. So that was the first thing. The second thing I would probably tell myself is as hard as I think I'm gonna work on this, I'm wrong. It's gonna be harder. I
Hmm.
remember in the first 3 months pulling my first 100-hour week and thinking, well, that was like a one-off. That seemed really weird. I mean, there was all these exceptions. This person couldn't come in, and I was covering that, and I had to be early for this technician. When you start a business, you need to learn how to create your own schedules and when people say take the time off when you can, they don't mean it magically appears. They mean you have to create time off for
Hmm.
yourself in your schedule. And I
This
did not
block, I'm not coming. Yeah.
and I
Yeah.
didn't appreciate that at all. So my first year, I was working way too much. It caused health problems. It caused problems in the relationships in my life. And it was 100% because I was taking this huge personal satisfaction out of like, I'm working on my thing. So it has
Mhm.
all this value. It's great. And it's like, no, I really should have had better time management. I should have had a better perspective on how much work was going to need in this. I would those are the two things I think that I've really
Yeah.
learned.
You're the David Goggins of productivity. You're just showing up to work every day, working the whole shift. Doesn't matter if it makes sense or not.
You know what's
Yeah.
crazy? So the first year I opened Tonic, a friend of mine opened her own restaurant called Bodega Prime, and I loved this place. It was super cool, great sandwiches, homemade sodas, and it was the same thing, her place, and she was working insane hours, and she was doing 5 a.m. catering at local hotels and stuff, and she made herself so sick that she is no longer in the industry.
Hmm.
And I did not, when that happened, it was the first time that I sort of went, maybe I should go see a doctor and see how my health is. Because I wasn't even 30 yet. So in my mind, I was like, I'm indestructible. And they told me in zero abstract terms, like you are working yourself to death. You are causing permanent damage to your organs, to your skin, to your body. And I'm a healthy guy. I go to the gym, I eat well, I don't drink to excess anymore. Like I'm not an unhealthy person. They just said no one can do what you're doing. It's not a
Hmm.
weakness, it's a reality. And I think
Yeah.
about that a lot when I get overwhelmed or I get tired. I'm like, this isn't a weakness, this is a reality. I need to take a step back.
Yeah. Because it's not just the work, too. When you're the owner, there's the stress. And so
Yeah.
you got that eating away at you a little bit, too. So if you don't have the time to rest and recuperate, it's just going to tear you apart.
Let me tell you
And
something, man. Cortisol is like tequila. The
yeah.
first one, you feel relaxed. The second one, you feel strong. The third one, you feel like you can do anything. And about the time you get to the fourth one and the fifth one and the sixth one, you're just trying to maintain from totally collapsing for the night. Cortisol makes you feel so good. You're just
Hmm.
like everything gets in focus and you have all this energy. And if you become cortisol reliant over the course of months, you're not a functional human anymore. You're just waiting to break down. And it's just a question.
Frayed nerves. Yeah, exactly. No, and the older I get, the more I'm realizing the name of the game is sustainability because it's the people that can stay in the game the longest. They're the ones that end up actually doing things. Like I don't know if you saw I ran a marathon last year and I didn't like cram for it or anything. I actually like spent a lot of time and I didn't do anything fancy. I just ran 3 times a week. And like that's all I did. And, like I would just step it up a little bit. And like we were opening a new restaurant too, so it was like a way that I was blowing off steam, but like I just made it fit. I didn't do anything crazy, never tried to push myself, just slowly increased it little by little. And like that's all it took. And
Yeah.
people are like, how'd you do this? Is like literally I just like tie myself and like if I was tired, I'd push it back a day. Like it wasn't rocket science. I didn't kill myself and I was kind and I just kept trying. Like,
I think once
but
you start separating the things that are based in reality and the things that are based in personal expectation, like that's sort of the art of adulthood. Like no matter
hmm,
how many times, like if I drop an apple, it's going to hit the ground. That's reality. There's certain factors of the universe that just are. Me setting personal goals and wanting certain things out of my business are not reality. They're just really high expectations. And at the end of the day, none of it matters because it's all
hmm,
about how it makes me feel and whether or not it's sustainable as a business and I'm paying my bills and it's sustainable as a person and I'm living in a way that isn't deleterious to my health. And I think that really is just what everything becomes. Like everything. Are you a good partner? Are you a good parent? Are you going to finish the marathon with a good time? It's just like these are
which I
they're
did not. I finished. I did
but
not have
you
a good time.
finished.
Yeah.
That's what
Yeah.
matters.
Yes. If you could go back, would you do it again?
Ooh, boy. Um, I think I would,
Hmm.
but probably not for a great reason. Like I actually, and let me put the big preface on this. Because of the COVID thing, because I never knew if I was going to get to reopen my business. And when we did reopen, I never knew how long we were going to have. I kind of let go of this thing a long time ago that like Tonic is this eternal plight that I'm gonna like they're gonna put this plinth under my name of like guy who created Tonic. Like Tonic's a business, Tonic's a bar. If it goes away tomorrow, that's a drag. I will figure something else out. But what I really have taken as a value out of this is I am a wildly different person on the other end
Sure.
of this. And I kind of like who I am because I've learned how to be a lot more patient with people and myself. I have much more realistic expectations of my industry and of what can be accomplished in it for better and for worse. They're just more realistic. Um, I'm just a smarter person. I know how to do a lot more from running the business and from an administrative point. Like I understand numbers really well now. And also but last night I went in and I rebuilt our soda compressor for like 3 hours. I just know how to do that now. So I think yes, I would because I like who I am. I don't really think the business matters that much. The business was a thing that meant a lot to me and still means a lot to me. But at the end of the day, it's not a person. It's not a parent. It's not a wife. We all say, oh, my business, my bar is my wife. My bar is my child. And it's like, I've said that
Mm.
too. I don't think I'm ever going to say it again because it's not
Sure.
healthy. It's not a person. The people who worked in my business mattered. They were the people who made my business what it was over the years. And like, that's another reason I probably would do it again. I have some lifelong friendships out of doing this that I would not have. Like people who I just never would have met, and now I talk to them, 10 times a day because it like that matters. So yeah, I would. But the business at the end of the day is just a business.
Mm. I have heard people describe entrepreneurship as personal development masquerading as a wealth production machine. And I feel like you kind of summed that up with what you said there.
Oh, that's great. I love that.
Yeah,
And that's the sad thing about what's going on right now is that like a corporation and a small business are not the same thing. A business is very personal. A business is something that is made by people And I think that because we're less encouraged to like open small businesses because they will make less money. Or I love when a business runs for 15 years and people are like, oh yeah, didn't you hear it failed? Like it didn't fail. It was there for 15 years. When a
Yeah.
business opens
A
for six
great 15
months,
years. Yeah.
yeah. People are saying that around town right now because El Farol closed. You know, that business has been there in some shape or another for like 90 years. This iteration was there for over a decade. Like it failed. I'm like, it didn't fail. It was there. Now it isn't. That's what a small business does. And then those people will go on and they'll start new small businesses.
Hmm.
But like you talk to investors today, you talk to some venture capitalist people, and like basically they want 10x. They want, if it's not $1 billion idea, it's a $0 idea. It's like that's so pernicious to the human experience. Entrepreneurship is about making multiple businesses. It's about exploring multiple concepts. It's about developing yourself and the people
Hmm.
around you. It's not just about making $1 billion. Not everyone needs to be the next unicorn.
Yeah. No, and I think of this girl that I offered a management position, and we start everyone at a set rate, and then they start being brought on to bonuses, and they start making percentages of the marginal income of the restaurant every P&L. Like, so your paycheck starts low and then it like quickly balloons up. And she walked away from the job offer because it was too low. And I remember thinking like, you're going to make zero because you didn't want to have a little bit of time here when there's this growth that happens very quick. Like, like the desire for like everything leaves you paralyzed. So you grab nothing. And so you just end up doing nothing and having nothing. It's like,
We've really struggled to hire people under a certain age because, as
mhm,
bar backing and apprentice bartending is a young man's game. If you start at 25, it's not that you'll never be great, but it's that you're starting at a serious disadvantage because it's a very hard job. So by the time you're kind of great at 30, your body's already giving up on you in some ways, or you're going to have to start working harder to deal with the effects of it. And it's really interesting because I mean, I interview people for job positions and I explain to them, this is what you're going to start at, but you're going to earn more, you're going to learn more, you're going to be in a position where you can go and earn a lot. And they go, are there benefits? Do I start with this? I talk to kids fresh out of college at 22, and every job to them is I need six figures and benefits and vacation. I'm like, no one has
mhm.
that. People spend their 20 years of their life working for those things. And it's been really interesting because I understand that people want to have a good life, for lack of a better term. They want to have a life where they're not worrying about things like where you live, where your health care, because no one wants to worry about that. I don't want to worry about that. But there's no expectation. Everyone is expecting a career the day they start with no amp up to it. I think that's really weird because that's not a reasonable expectation.
Yeah. It is the first generation that has been raised from birth pretty much with social media. So they've seen people do well from the beginning. It'll be interesting. It'll be an interesting 10 years. And then maybe
Yeah.
another like super virus will take us out. Who knows?
Well, let me ask you a question. Because you've
Yeah.
been in this industry basically as long as I have, and like, do you think the shape of our industry is gonna change with the people who are coming on and inheriting? Like, because this is a hard job. I don't care if you work fast food or a
Mm.
steakhouse or fine dining or bartending. It's a hard job. The work is just hard. And I do see a lack of desire to do hard work in a lot of people. Do you think we're gonna have to change the way we do what we do?
I yeah, I'm conflicted on this. There there's a side of me that sees that a lot of people are coming on with a lot of bitterness. I feel like it's been a weird 5 years for a large segment of the population, and no one has really fully recovered from the implications and everything that happened with COVID, but we've all kind of forgotten and stopped thinking about it. Um, Mixed in with, I think, a generation that has some weird assumptions about what the work world's going to be like. So I don't know. I just honestly, transparently have no idea. I'm living through it. Um, I know that I've never had to tell so many people put away their phones. I'm having all sorts of like weird issues, and like people that are star performers and doing great, just like don't think to not look at their phone. It's almost like it is truly instinctual at this point where it's just like there's nothing that would stop the person unless you put it away. Like,
We've
yeah.
debated doing a locker at work because even people who are, I mean, a couple years younger than me, it's not like they grew up with these things glued to their faces. But like, I walk up to them, I'm like, "Do you know you've been on your phone all night?" And they're like,
Hmm.
"I have, haven't I? I'm sorry." I'm like, "It's fine, just put it away." Like, why are you making me tell you? You know that's not, it's bad service.
Yeah, but I do think that like the younger kids don't think about it. Like me and you luckily got it that I got my first like smartphone when I was in college.
Mhm.
And I
Yep.
still remember like I printed out MapQuest directions to college. Like like that's something that'll date me. Yeah, that's
The map
incredible.
app did not
It
work. It was not a
it
good app.
no, but I am very grateful and very glad that I grew up in the era that I did. I'm glad that I have a smartphone. I'm also glad I didn't have a smartphone when I was young because like even with like all the extra stuff, I try to leave it outside my room and not look at it and all the work that I do to try to be better about it, I'm still at the end of probably 5 years of struggling to use it less, only marginally better. And it's like if I also had that when I was going through like adolescence,
Yeah.
like I kind of understand. Like I get it why they're so glued to it, and like it's addictive for me, and I'm not that like into like TikTok and stuff, you know?
No, I mean that helps. Like I don't have much social media. But I'll say this. So my girlfriend and I, we've been together for over 9 years, and working the schedule I was working, time together was obviously really precious because,
Hmm.
this is we when it was at its worst, we might get like 8 hours a week on a Sunday, and we lived together. It was that bad. But as a result, we started a rule pretty early, like in our first year of dating, of like if we're gonna be together, let's just put our phones away.
Hmm.
And now, like, 9 years later, living in a home together and it's just sort of been this rule the whole time. It's actually very helpful in my work life too, because I have this sort of thing in the back of my head that like in order to properly engage with another human being, I cannot have this black brick sitting between us.
Yeah,
Um,
you
and I
just
think that
can't.
it's weird that you have to create a rule in your personal life to have like a successful professional persona, but whatever makes it work, right?
Awesome. Well, Winston, I've got to take this one home. I've actually got to go and work at the restaurant tonight. So, is there
Yeah.
anything that we may have missed that you'd be remiss that we didn't talk about today?
Ooh, boy. I don't know. I mean, sustainability. That was the word, right? Like
Oh,
that's
yeah.
the game. I really think it's this like dirty word in our industry, and it shouldn't be. Like
Hmm.
we are a resource, and we do use ourselves with a lot of perversion. And I
Oh,
think that you should be nice to yourself, and you should be healthy. I have a guy who works for me, who I love him. He's such a good guy, and he was having some health problems, and I was like, "Let's go climbing. Let's go rock climbing once a week. We'll go on Wednesdays, and we'll have a great time." And just having that time, an hour or two on the wall, peaceful, exercising, getting his blood flowing, letting his thoughts clear, it's great. It's the best thing I can advise, especially if you want to open your own business. It's like sustainability, and you are a resource. You are the resource, so you can't
yeah.
waste yourself.
No, and I mean, it's true. We're of an age that we're getting a little older. We're not old yet, but I mean, I've seen people pass away. I've seen people drink themselves to death, essentially. So,
Yeah. No,
yeah.
and there's guys in our industry who I don't know how you feel about this, but I've certainly observed a lot of guys who didn't create good habits for themselves in their 30s and 40s, and the health problems that they're having in their 50s and 60s are unreal. Like
Hmm.
you don't get to hit 50 and say, "Okay, now I'm going to take care of myself." It doesn't work that way. So,
Exactly.
yeah, like everyone's just got to hit a point where you start accepting you're not that 20-year-old kid anymore making $200 in the middle of the night. It's not that
Yeah.
game after a while.
Sadly enough, amen to that. Someone who's listening, where should they go to find out more about Tonic and you?
Oh, so we have a website, tonicsantafe.com, and that has our menus on it. Theoretically, we have social media. I don't check it, but someone does. So that's a good place. And obviously, if you're ever in Santa Fe, New Mexico, that's the real deal. That's the experience. Like, come have a cocktail with us.
Yeah. Get served by Winston himself. Yeah. So, all right. for you that were listening, I will have all the links in the show notes, so you can just click on it and go see Winston, say hi, and thanks for taking a moment to come say hi to me and catch up after 10 years.
After 10 years, yeah, it's good to see you, man.
If I ever make it out to Santa Fe again, I'll come in and see you.
Oh, please do. Like, let's get dinner or something. That'd be a really.
Well, it's a production because it's now my wife, a Great Dane, and a couple of cats. So just keep adding people to the caravan. But
that's why you moved your parents there, right? It's like now that her parents.
Now they've got to. Well, yeah, maybe they can watch everyone.
Thank you again for listening to Serves You Right. Episodes of this show come out every Tuesday and Thursday. If you have not had a chance, please go and check out the website, servesyouRightPod.com. You can find all past episodes and a contact form in case you need to get in touch with me. And soon, so much more. All right, that's about it. Thank you.